Greetings from my recording studio deep inside the Taj Mahal, and welcome to this first video in a series on applications of equations involving multiple similar terms. We should first have a little review of geometry and vocabulary involved with that. First of all, complementary angles. Two angles are complementary when the sum of their measures equals 90 degrees. So if we had two angles A and B, we would say that A plus B equals 90 degrees. Oftentimes, a 90-degree angle in a drawing will be represented with a little, for me anyway, in these presentations, I'll represent a 90-degree angle with this little red box inside the angle. That will mean that that's a right angle, and that's equal to 90 degrees. That saves me a little bit of time from writing 90 every time. Supplementary angles are two angles whose sum is 180 degrees. So if this is A and this is B, we would write A plus B equals 180 degrees. And just as a reminder, a straight line has 180 degrees. Vertical angles. Any two angles are vertical angles when they are opposite angles formed by the intersection of two straight lines. By opposite angles, I mean this. A is the opposite angle of B, and C is the opposite angle of D. So in this case, we could say that A equals B, and the measure of C equals the measure of D. Pretty easy so far, eh? The sum of the angles of a triangle is 180 degrees. So this is 180. These are my angles A, B, and C. We can say that A plus B plus C equals 180 degrees. It might be good for you to be taking notes about this time, or even a little bit earlier. You can back up the video. You can write some of this stuff down. And then the angle measure of a circle is 360 degrees. So if we had the circle split up into angles A, B, and C, we could write A plus B plus C equals 360 degrees. All right, so the previous video, we showed how to work equations that had multiple similar terms, how we had to simplify everything down to its simplest form before we proceeded into actually solving for any values. And now we just had this review of geometry. Let's put those two things together and work through a problem. So here's the first problem. What I'd like you to do right now is to pause the video and go ahead and set this problem up and work through it, see how you do, and when you come back, we'll work it together. Here's your hint. This is from the previous couple of slides. For a triangle, when you sum the angles, A plus B plus C, in this case, equals 180 degrees. So go ahead and pause the video, and once you've worked through the problem, come back and we'll work it together. Welcome back. Let's go ahead and work this together. We see here that we have an expression for A, and an expression for B, and an expression for C. I'm going to work my strategy on the left-hand side of this line, and then I'll write the equations step by step as we go through on the right-hand side of the line. So the first thing I'll do is write the equation. We know that A plus B plus C equals 180 degrees because it's a triangle we're working with. Now I'm going to substitute the values of A and B and C into that equation. So I'll just take this first equation up here, that's A, and wherever I see an A, I'm going to write 3x plus 20. That's what I did here. Now I'm going to substitute B. I'm going to substitute 2x in for B. That's this 2x. And finally, I'll substitute in for C. That'll be 2x subtract 10. Bring down the equal sign and the 180. Now I need to start simplifying. I have a lot of similar terms. I have a lot of x terms. I have number terms. Before I can do much anything else, I have to simplify. So I'm going to combine. We're here now. I'm going to combine like terms. I use the commutative property of addition to bring all of my x terms together. So all I did was migrate the x terms to the left to line them up all together like this. And that left me with my 20 and this negative 10. Now at this point, I'm pretty close to simplifying everything. I'm going to combine the 3 and the 2 and the 2. I'm going to factor out that x. We have an x in each term. So I'll write 3, add 2, put those in parentheses, and put the x. That's called factoring. I factored out that common x. And then I had 20 subtract 10. That left me with 10. Bring down the equal sign and the 180. I'm there. At that point, I can do the arithmetic inside the parentheses. 3 plus 2 is 5, plus 2 is 7. The parentheses magically disappear. Bring down the positive 10 and the 180. Remember, you can pause this at any time you like and step through what I just did. But I'll move on. We had worked down until we had 7x plus 10 equals 180. At this time, my equation is in its simplest form. The left side of this equation only has one x term and only has one number term, and the right side only has one number term. Each side of that equation is in its simplest form. Once I've done that, I can start solving for x. And to do that, my first step is I'm going to zero out the 10. And to zero out the 10, I add the opposite. And when I do it on the left-hand side of the equation, I'll also add a negative 10 on the right-hand side of the equation. We'll do the arithmetic. The 10s cancel out. We're left with 7x on the left-hand side of the equation and 170 on the right-hand side of the equation. So at this point, we're left with just a simple multiplication problem. And to undo a multiplication problem, we multiply by the reciprocal of that number by the x, that's that 7. The reciprocal is 1 over 7. And since I multiply the left-hand side of that equation by 1 over 7, to maintain the equality, I have to multiply the right-hand side of the equation by 1 over 7. I typically put these numbers over 1 because I'm going to be multiplying by a fraction, and that just keeps me organized. Remember, to multiply fractions, we multiply straight across. So finally, these 7s cancel out, just leaves us with 1x. Typically, we don't write that 1. It's understood that there's a 1 there. Doesn't bother me if you do, but some teachers don't really want you to put that 1 there. It's okay for me. If it helps you right now, that's great. So finally, we have 1x equals 170 divided by 7. I do that division. I hope you have a calculator. I hope the Chromebooks that you have a built-in calculator. You're more than welcome to use it. But when I divide 170 by 7, I get 24.3. I box that in. That's an intermediate result. I'll box it in so it's easy for me to find when I go back and look for it. Okay, so the problem here didn't ask for x. That's just an intermediate value. What it asked for was what are the measures of the angles inside that triangle. So now I'm going to calculate the angles. I'm going to use that value of x and substitute it back in for the equations for each of the angles. So angle A, if I remember right, equaled 3x plus 10. All I'm going to do is wherever I see an x, I'm going to substitute in this value of x that I calculated, and then we'll multiply 3 times the 24.3. That gives me 72.9. Bring down the addition and the 20. Do the arithmetic, and I get angle A equals 92.5. I'll go ahead and box that in. Then I write the equation for B. The angle B equals 2x. Wherever I see an x, I'll replace it with 24.3, the value that we calculated earlier. We get this. I do the multiplication and get B equals 48.6. Coming to the next page, we'll do the same thing for angle C. C equals 2x, subtract 10. I'll replace that x by 24.3. You might hear your instructor say, I will substitute 24.3 into the equation for C. When you do that, you'll get 2 times 24.3, bring down the subtract 10. Do the arithmetic. Best if you do everything step by step. Do the multiplication first. You get 48.6. Bring down the subtract 10. Do the arithmetic. And you'll get C equals 38.6. Now my final step is to check my work. And the way that I'm going to check my work is to go ahead and add up all the angles and see if it equals 180. So the first thing I do is write the equation. And then I substitute all of my values that I calculated for the angles A, B, and C into this equation. A was 92.9, C was 48.6, pardon me, B was 48.6, and C was 38.6. And I put this question mark here because I don't know yet until I actually do the arithmetic. But whenever I add all of these numbers up, I think I actually get 180.1, but that's just round off error in the calculator. So 180.1 for us is good enough, right? That equals approximately 180. And if I get that close, I'm saying, yep, I did all my work right. Good job. Please compare your work with what I did here. Be sure you look at the strategy, how we did this, all the way through this presentation, because that's what I'll expect you to do whenever you're solving these types of problems. Write me sentences telling me what your plan is in each step, and then do the math on the right-hand side of the page. That was a lot of work. Guys, please review this a few times if you need to. Be sure you understand everything that we did here in this presentation. And I'll be seeing you in a future video. We'll be doing a few more videos on applications. So that about wraps that up. There's only one thing left to say, and that is that's all, folks. Thanks for watching. Thanks for learning. Be safe. Con cuidado.